Hello there, people of YouTube land! This is the Dodo Wrestling Fan here today for a little story time. Now, a couple days ago, one of my closer friends, LC, on Twitter, or Lane Connor, as you would want to call him, did a brief story about a history of a group that I am heavily involved in called the Lone Comrades. And I thought, that it kind of inspired me to put my own twist on his video and kind of tell things from my perspective. The story of the group that essentially kind of made me into the guy I am today, because without that group of friends, there would be a lot of things I would have never watched. There would have been a lot of things I would have never tried. So, without further delay, I'm just going to jump right in. Cut the filler. Let's go. So, I joined Twitter May 17th, 2016. I still remember the day like it was yesterday. It was just a gorgeous spring day. I remember having poutine inside Market Square with my mom, and poutine's such a Canadian thing to have, I know. But, I'm a Canadian. I live in igloos. I kill polar bears for meat, like, come at me. Let me tell you, I know what that's all about. But, I was a little lonely on Twitter for the first couple of months because I didn't really have, much of a following. And the following that I did have was kind of dead, so. But for some odd reason, I was still inspired to use the service to meet new people. That's what it was all about. That's all I ever really wanted to do on Twitter, was just to expand my horizons, meet new people so they'd watch my YouTube videos. And, to be fair, in a sense, it was kind of a success because, I remember I was doing YouTube for 2 years and I had like 19 subscribers. It was ridiculous. I put out content super frequently and no one gave a flying fuck about any of the content I put out. I go to YouTube, I go to Twitter, I make my friends, and then now I have more subscribers than I ever thought I would ever have. And I barely put out any content anymore these days, so I kind of find it funny how that works. But, yeah, I was just kind of mouthing opinions every day into an empty box, just kind of yelling at myself on Twitter, because, like, barely anybody was listening. And, but one of these days, it was, like, someday in July, I can kind of recall, because I remember I was playing a game, Tales of Xillia, prior to that. So that's how I can kind of remember. Yes, I remember the times where I play games. I'm a frickin' robot, I know. But yeah, this would have been July 2016, and the biggest account ever had followed me, and it was called the Sonic Pancake. And this account had like 2,000 plus followers to it, and I was a little hesitant because, I was a little bit intimidated, but I was like, holy fuck, an account this big followed me. What's the deal with that? But I was kind of like scared of it, but I thought, I'll follow him back. I'll see what he's all about. And then eventually I started interacting with him, and he was one of the very first people that ever decided to give me the time of day to interact back with me. And then eventually we ended up becoming good friends on the timeline of Twitter. Like, I still remember our very first conversation was about being different, embracing differences, and not going with the status quo. And the fact that he was able to just take in everything I was saying was such a new experience to me, because it was like, for the first time ever, somebody was actually listening to me. Somebody was actually giving a damn about my opinion on the internet, which just made me feel so happy. My existence was being validated for the first time ever. And then, he started actually liking my tweets, and then he started interacting with my own tweets. And then, there would be a whole bunch of other accounts that would come in. And then, for the first time, my notifications started getting filled. And I should say that the Sonic Pancake is actually the man that I name-dropped at the beginning of the video, LC. We're still friends going on 2 years now. And we've been through everything together. And I don't think there'll be anything strong enough to tear us apart. I love that dude. I really do. So, I eventually climbed the ranks. Like, on Twitter, there's these bots where it's like, my best fans, my New Year's kiss, etc. I ended up becoming, LC's biggest fan. And by that, it goes like how many times I was mentioned. I mentioned this dude hundreds of times. I would talk to him daily on the timeline. It was like something that I looked forward to. It was neat having a friend. It was neat having somebody that was actually really active like that. So, eventually, he invited me to a group chat, and this group chat was called Lone Comrades. Lone Comrades was very Dragon Ball based at the time. It was basically a borderline Dragon Ball roleplay frickin' group chat to an extent. But I guess at the time that I came in, LC was trying to expand his horizons to just like general anime and gaming, more slice of life than anything else, which was a step in the right direction, if I do say so myself. Now, I was actually kind of scared to enter this group because I still remember I was sitting with my laptop in the kitchen eating supper as I usually do when I got the invite. And I was just scared that it would be a whole bunch of voices coming out because at the time I was so shy and, with my mom being right there, she was like, what the fuck are you listening to? Like, what are you doing? So I was actually kind of scared, but when I found out it was all text-based, I felt more at home, because like I said, at the time I was just so ridiculously shy. So I still kind of remember the very first things that I kind of said. There was a guy in there that I instantly related with. At the time, his account was called Antonio6. Now I just call him Tony, and Tony's like one of my best friends ever. I love that dude. He's one of the most supportive guys I've ever met on Twitter, and actually one of the most supportive guys I've ever met in my life. I really, really have a lot of respect for that guy, and I love him a lot. And I also met Jay, and the same thing could be said for him, although we didn't see eye to eye at first whatsoever. He's growing up to be a fine young guy in his own right. I remember saying I want to make love to Jay's icon and things like that, and then LC would chime with the bed thumps, thump thump thump, and things like that. It was just the funniest shit to me at the time. Things very tame by the things that we say, by our standards now. We're ridiculous. We have no filter whatsoever, but we were just a bunch of edgy teens at the time. So anything related to dicks and butts, it was just the most funny shit you could ever possibly imagine. But overall, there wasn't too many people that I related with there, and there's one dude in particular that I just fucking hated, flat out. I hated this dude named CJ. Oh my god, I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone. I'm just gonna say that. I'm glad he didn't last long, and well, I'm gonna get into one of the bigger reasons why I stayed in a moment, because I could just gush about the guy nonstop. But yeah, that guy almost made me leave the group, but people like LC and Tony, they kept me in there because I was like, well, they're gonna tough it out, and I really like them, so I'm gonna continue staying in here. And I definitely made the right call with that. And during this time, there's also new people showing up, such as Greatness, aka Dodo Jr., my illegitimate son. That's still an ongoing joke to this very day. And there was always this really, really cool girl at the time. She was really shy. I didn't really say much, but anytime she would, I was always able to have some of the best conversations ever with her. And her at the time her out was Human But Warrior. It was a Dragon Ball themed account, and this ended up becoming Salami, who again ended up becoming one of my best friends on the entire Twitter website. I really love her a lot. So yeah, it was kind of a group effort that kept me there over the time. And there was lots of drama. I still remember there was this war against the Vibe Ninjas. Yeah, I kind of vaguely remember that, where we would just enter these people in the account and then they'd smoke us and things like that. Man, it was crazy at the time, but it was so much fun because I was getting to rally the troops. I was like, you're not gonna fucking stop the lone comrades, bitches! So at the time, it was just the most hypest shit I'd ever seen. I was just grinning from ear to ear. And then when I'd see the things where Elsie's like, yo, did you block my fucking kids? Still to this day, when I think about that moment, I just smile. I guess the funny thing is that Elsie, he's only 15 right now, so he was 14 and I was 17, so you talking down to my fucking little boy? Even though I was a couple years older than him. But eventually, as time went on, I started to go kind of distant because I post a lot of hentai and shit, and I would get kicked from the chat a lot because the chat still had rules at the time. And I was just doing it to kind of fit in, because I saw the hentai got a reaction, so people seemed to just gel with it. I rolled with it because, I would always get the reaction that I wanted to get out of people with it, even though that was the farthest thing from who I was, because on my own, I'm a fairly, asexual guy. I'm not gonna say asexual because girls are way too fucking hot to be non-sexual whatsoever, but I'm a fairly repressed sexual guy, if that makes any sense. So it was very odd how I adapted a pervert image, but I was like, yeah, it's Master Roshi, I was just being a clown at the time, and it was fun to an extent, but it started to get annoying when people legitimately thought that was what I was like, when it couldn't be farther from the truth. However, by being a complete clown, there was one guy that I ended up meeting, and I'm happy that I was the clown that I was, so I got a chance to meet him, and it spawned one of the most beautiful friendships ever imagined. And he is the man, he is the myth, he is indeed the legend. He is known as Pink Vegeta. And I can just say there's not a soul on earth that I love more than this dude, honestly. Holy shit, he is a brother to me. A pure brother right to the end. And fascinating fact, him and LC actually started the Lone Comrades. He wasn't active too often because he had such a busy life at the time. So I didn't really know much about him. He was kind of aloof to an extent. I never thought I would have been such great friends with him, but eventually, one of these nights when Elsie was going through mood swings, he would throw consistent mood swings. He was kind of bipolar to an extent after a while because of all the stress of managing and doing all of this for the chat and managing an entire social scene. You know, it's understandable that eventually that stress would get to him. That's when I started to see PV show up a little bit more, and then I saw his leadership, and, you know, there was a lot of dumbasses in this group, too, because, like I said, at the time, we were just expanding, we were just adding people. We were those dumb fucks that did follow for follow and shit like that, just to increase our numbers. So we just add anybody that followed us back, and we got a lot of dumbasses in that group that wouldn't listen to a damn thing that this very intelligent, sexy man had to say. And then eventually, my true colors started to show up when I was actually listening to him, when I was giving him solid ideas, and it was then that I earned his respect. And I still remember, this was just shortly before Halloween, and he said, you know, you've earned my respect 100%. I never viewed you like anything more as just some guy from the chat, but now I can clearly see that that was a stupid opinion to have. So feel free to message me about anything. Like, I really want to be friends with you. So I took him up on that offer, and a wonderful, wonderful friendship spawned from it that's still going strong to this very day. And I know you're watching this, PV, so I'm just gonna tell you how much I love you again. I love you, bro. And I wouldn't know where I would be without, I really don't know where I would be without you. So, like I said, love you, love you, love you. Eventually, the dumbassery just got too much for him to handle, and he just went, fuck it, I'm done. But hey, Dorian, see what you can do with this group, because eventually, because I was one of the only people in that group that wasn't a complete fucking dumbass at the time, I kind of took over. This was Christmas of last year. This was Christmas of 2016, and I did a pretty good job. I added some cool people here and there, and yeah, but eventually it got old, and then LC and then PV kept coming back, but eventually the Lone Comrades was starting to break apart. It was kind of ending in shambles. Everyone was just kind of fighting with one another. It was drama, man. It was drama. It's lame. Like, we're better than that now, of course, but at the time it was just really getting lame. So, like, every good group, every good band or whatever, it was starting to kind of fall apart at the seams. And then eventually it did fall apart. There was, eventually, like, this is beforehand, I will say, around this time, I also met another dude that I love pretty much more than anyone else in the world. Like, I fucking love this guy. I love him, I love him, I love him. Like, you can check my Twitter account right now, and it's actually, like, my New Year's kiss is going to be at Ramble1234. This is, like I said, one of the greatest guys I've ever met in my life. For real. And, he helped me get out of, like, my clowning around to... He allowed me to accept who I really was. He allowed me to be proud of myself. He kind of taught me to be more humble with who I was and more secure with myself. And I have him to thank. Like, without him, I would have never watched shows like Sailor Moon. I wouldn't have ever gotten into Dragon Ball as much as I did. And he kind of restored my love for JRPGs because he was one of the first dudes that actually gave a flying fuck about what I had to say, aside from Pink Vegeta. He was the only dude, like, yeah, Pink Vegeta and Tony, like, a couple of others, like Sallow, of course. There's people that are still there that I love, but due to so much dumbasses in that group, it was so hard to actually have an audience that listened or gave a damn to what you had to say. And yeah, another beautiful friendship spawned from that. So I can't believe I almost forgot to mention the time where, like, Ramble and I started getting in, because he wanted to learn JRPGs, and of course I know JRPGs more than anybody else. Not gonna lie, that sounded a little bit egotistical, but you get my points. And I was really wanting to learn Dragon Ball, and no one knows more about Dragon Ball than fucking Ramble1234. So, like, yeah, we just watch shit on Skype all the time, and it was a really fun time. And yeah, he's still one of my best friends. He'll be one of my best friends for life. Like, BFFs is what we are, for real. And like I said, everything that I've said about Ramble can be said about Pink Vegeta. Like, he's my brother for life. We've been through so much hell together, and nothing has broken us apart. I've had countless amazing memories with this guy. I'm sorry for gushing so much about them, but it's just these two dudes mean so much to me. And the same goes to LC. Like, even though LC, we've had a little bit of like a rocky road, it's been a wonderful road all along, and I have so many fucking amazing memories with him too. But yeah, it was starting to fall apart after, like, we were doing Skype calls and things like that, which these Skype calls were just done with the members that we like. So this was, like, LCPV, Sallow, Jay, people like that. And we would have gotten Tony, but Tony's mother's a bit of a bitch that doesn't allow him to talk all that much. So it's not like he can really do anything about that, but he would definitely be included in those if we got a chance to. But I still remember precisely one day I got on a Skype call with PV and Ramble, and we were just talking about, because LC, he was gone. He actually had a mental breakdown, and he took a couple months off. He took pretty much all of 2017 off. He just wasn't right at all. He would try to come around every now and again, but it just, like, it wasn't the same. He was just forcing himself. Now, of course, LC, he's back. He's better than ever, and he's in it for the long run. And, you know, he finally got over his depression or whatever it was. And I really admire him for doing so. You know, he's a tough guy. But this also spawned another group called the Omnitaku. And then during the Omnitaku, we had some amazing people like Austin Taylor. I love that dude. Again, like one of my best friends on the entire website. I love that guy. Never had so much in common with one dude before, so make sure you check out Ultimate Being One. Like, he deserves more followers than what he has, honestly. And then PV and I ended up splitting ways for a little while back in the summer, but because we're brothers, and because we're best friends, there's no way we could ever separate us. There's no way we could ever be apart from one another for overly too long, even though the fight that we got in was rather nasty. In the long run, it's like one of those things that we can forget about and move on just because we love each other and have that much mutual respect for one another. And yeah, needless to say, the Lone Comrades, it's been one hell of a ride with tons of amazing people. And yeah, I said it at the start of the video, I would not be the same man I am today without them. I wouldn't have watched anime. I was in like a really kind of a depression myself, so my gaming was just kind of I was just kind of stagnant, and I really didn't know what to do because at the time I was going through a lot of personal life shit with my grandmother being in rather ill health. So these guys unintentionally made my 2016, even though I came in at the latter end. And, you know, it's such a humbling thing to have the likes, like the creators of the group, PV and LC, consider me an OG when I entered in August, and the group was made all the way back in May, or as early as March even, because that's when LC and PV met. And, you know, like I said, it's just honored that I've gotten to meet so many people. So, you know, I'm just going to name drop some names of people that I love, and I'll end that video there. At SMH Tony, I love you, my dude. At Ramble1234, I love you, my dude. At Crap_Baskets, I love you, my girl. At Kurai Jinx, you know, I couldn't leave you out even though you're a little later. I do love you, my dude. You know, you deserve a place. At Ultimate Being One, I love you, you kawaii beast. At Knuckles Chuckle, keep on being a nigger, my 7U7. That's all I really have to say. Aish. Trust me, that all makes sense if you knew him. And that's the only time you're ever gonna hear me say the N-word, but yeah. And as for the grand finale, at Pink Vegeta, we'll just be a duo forever, my man. Couldn't love you any more than I do, and I'm glad the Pink Prince Army is back and stronger than ever. Yeah, so make sure you follow Pink_Vegeta. He can use all the love and support he can. He's just starting fresh again, and take it from me, he's one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. Trust me, one of the chillest, coolest dudes you'll ever meet. I know there's tons of like story arcs and things that I kind of overlooked and things like that, but I just kind of wanted to make this a summary video of like my experiences with the Lone Comrades. Like, you know, there's tons of stuff that happened after Lone Comrades, because Lone Comrades, I was there from August to February, and from there on, you know, it was Omnitaku, and then it was like my own group and things like that, which got coin-named Godly Cuties because of Austin at Ultimate Being One. That's kind of like I stole inspiration from how he calls everything cute. But yeah, that's basically my summary, or at least what came to mind, of the Lone Comrades. It's a group that I'll remember for many, many amazing reasons, a plethora of amazing reasons, and a plethora of negative reasons as well. But all in all, I took the good with the bad, and the good and the bad made me a better person all around. The hardships made me tougher. It gave me tougher skin. You know, it allowed me to get back up no matter what happened. You know, a little inside joke right now, you know, I get knocked down and I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. PV will get that. He'll get that. He'll get tub thumping by Chubba Wumba, guaranteed. But I should probably end this while I'm rambling. So with that being said, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. This is the Dodo Wrestling Fan signing out.